again, everyone. Thank you. I just want to give one more big thanks to the people who made this weekend possible. Ellen Dooley, I don't know if she's in the audience or she's still in the cafeteria working on the food. She did an amazing job with the food. And also thanks again to our AV guys back there. We're working so hard. Jeff Whittington and Tim Deck, they're waving to us. And a quick shout out again to Carl Dans, who's helped me with so many aspects of this conference. And thanks to Stuart.
You knew this was going to happen, right? All right, so, I have a question to ask you. Have you ever seen Wonder Woman and Tasha in the same place at the same time? Okay, so somehow, in addition to being our wonderful state coordinator and teaching college students about climate science, she somehow found the time to find this great new venue and do a massive event planning activity, which you've ever done that, it's a lot of work. So just wonderful to have her part of our beautiful CCL community, and she's such a great leader. And on a personal note, I have to thank her for showing up with her quarter-page flyers at a 350.org rally 5 years ago. My wife Paul and I were up there, and mutual friends said, "Oh, I need to introduce you to Tasha." And so that's when I met Tasha. She said, "We're forming a new chapter." Where is that? Oh, it's in our hometown. Yeah, no excuses. So that's how I got into CCL, and she co-founded our local chapter along with Diana. So on a personal note, I very much appreciate everything you've done. But of course, for the overall organization, everyone here, this wonderful new venue, just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, everyone. It was my pleasure to do this, and being here with all of you this weekend made it all worth it. Thank you. So I'll just end with 2 quick notes. Please drop off your name tag sleeves on the way out. There's a table. As you leave the theater, it's on the right. And we do have some extra food. Please take big bowls of fruit home with you if you can, and drink some more coffee after, after we end here. Thank you all.
She's amazing. So I don't know how this is for you, but this is incredibly rejuvenating for me. And so, just wanted to thank you for, I know I said I'm not going to cry at these regional conferences anymore, but I just wanted to thank you again. It completely lights my life up. It makes things go a lot easier just being able to spend a day and a half with you. So I'm really appreciative of the invitation and getting a chance to see some of you that I've been working with for years, and really nice to meet the people who you're here maybe for the first time. I remember when I was new to the organization, and it was kind of uncomfortable for me, and I didn't, it was me, Marshall, and Olivia. But, and I knew a handful of the volunteers, so it took a while before I kind of felt like I found a home, and I'm hoping that happens for you also here. I think it's really, really important that we get together. I think there's a certain amount of what we do that depends upon us getting together, and I'm hoping that for those of you that it works, that I'll have a chance to see you in June again. We're excited about this conference. We may have put on some shoddy ones in the past, but I think this one's going to be pretty good. Tim, I'm going to skip the video and go straight to the PowerPoint, okay? So before you put that up, let me just introduce this. I want to read something that was written by David Brooks on December 14th of last year. David Brooks is a columnist for the New York Times, and he identifies himself as a conservative columnist. He's one of those conservatives that is extremely frustrated with the current administration But in a lot of cases over the last several years, he has attempted to deal with things from very broad brushstrokes. And so when I started my comments yesterday, one of the things that I said I wanted to do was to expand your job description, and that's what this piece is. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell and communism fell with it. Liberal democracy seemed triumphant. Democracy sprouted in Central Europe, apartheid fell in South Africa, the Oslo process seemed to herald peace in the Middle East. Then it all went bad. Tribalism and authoritarianism are now on the march, while the number of democracies declines. Far worse has been the degradation of democracies, especially in our own country. The Congress barely functions. We have a president who ignores facts and violates basic decency. On college campuses, according to the Brookings UCLA survey, 50% of students believe that offensive speech should be shouted down, and 20% believe it should be violently crushed. In short, we used to have a certain framework of decency with which we held our debates, and somehow we've lost our framework. We took liberal democratic values for granted. For so long, we've forgotten how to defend them. We've become Democrats by habit and no longer defend our system with a fervent faith. So for the next few months, I'm going to use this column from time to time to go back to the first principles to go over the canon of liberal democracy, the thinkers who explained our system and why it is great. I'm going to start with Thomas Mann, The Coming Victory of Democracy. Mann, possibly the greatest novelist of his era, fled the Nazis and came to America. In 1938, he gave a series of lectures against fascism, communism, and America Firsters. Democracy begins with one great truth, he argued: the infinite dignity of individual men and women. Man is made in God's image. Unlike other animals, humans are morally responsible. Yes, humans do beastly things. Mann had just escaped the Nazis. But humans are the only creatures who can understand and seek justice, freedom, and truth. This trinity is a complex of an individual, divisible kind, freighted with spirituality and elementary dynamic force. Man is nature's fall from grace, only it is not a fall, but just as positively an elevation of conscience is higher than innocence. Sorry, I'll read that again. Man is nature's fall from grace, only it is not a fall, but just as positively an elevation of as conscience is higher than innocence, he writes. Original sin is the deep feeling of man as a spiritual being for his natural infirmities and limitations above which he raises himself through spirit. Democracy, Mann continues, is the only system built on respect for the infinite dignity of each individual man and woman, on each person's moral striving for freedom, justice, and truth. It would be a great error to think of and teach democracy as a procedural or political system, or as the principle of majority rule. It is a spiritual and moral possession. It is not just rules. It is a way of life. It encourages everybody to make the best of their capacities, holds that we have a moral responsibility to do so. It encourages the artist to seek beauty, the neighbor to seek community, the psychology to seek perception, and the scientist to seek truth. Monarchies produce great paintings, but democracy teaches citizens to put their art into action, to take their creative impulses and build a world around them. Democracy is thought, but it is thought related to life and action. Democratic citizens are not just dreaming. They are thinkers who sit on the town council. He quotes the philosopher Bergson's dictum, "Act as men of thought, think as men of action." In his day, as in ours, democracy had enemies, and the prospects could look grim. Mann argued that the enemies of democracy aren't just fascists with guns. They are anybody who willfully degrades the public square, the propagandists and the demagogues. They despise the masses, why they make themselves the mouthpiece of vulgar opinion. They offer bread and circuses, tweets and insults, but have nothing but a rabbit horizon. All they see is the grubby striving for money and power and attention. The authoritarians and demagogues subjugate action through bullying, and they subjugate thought by arousing mob psychology. This is the contempt of pure reason, the denial and violation of truth in favor of power and the interests of the state, the appeal to the lower instincts, the so-called feeling, the release of stupidity and evil from the discipline of reason and intelligence. They possess the kind of contempt which strives with all its might to degrade and corrupt humanity in order to force the people to do its will. Man has confidence in democracy's ultimate victory because he has confidence in democracy's ability to renew itself, to put aside the habit of taking itself for granted. Renewal means reform. He calls for economic and political reform that, quoting a French deputy, will create a true hierarchy of values. Put money in the service of production, production in the service of humanity, and humanity itself in the service of an ideal which gives meaning to life. Man's great contribution is to remind us that democracy is not just about politics. It's about the individual daily struggle to be better and nobler and to resist the cheap and the superficial. Democrats like Mon hold up a lofty image of human flourishing. They inspire a great yearning to live up to it. So, not a bad piece, huh? I wanted to share that with you because I really think, the job you've taken on, saving the planet, pretty big job, is actually bigger than that. And I think also our job is to build and nurture and flourish and take care of this remarkable democracy that we have. So I know you're already up to that. So I was simply just trying to make something obvious that you're already doing, and I appreciate that. So thank you all. Great to see you again. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you for a great conference. Appreciate it.
So, I declare the Northern California Regional Conference for Citizens Climate Lobby complete for 2018.